Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a mini Black Forest cake. So I'm going to be starting off with the dry ingredients. I'm going to take 1 3/4 of a cup of flour and I'm going to put it in my bowl. To that I'm adding 1 cup of icing sugar. Next, 1/2 cup of cocoa powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder. And I'm just going to give those a mix. So once your dry ingredients are incorporated, you're going to take 1 cup of coffee. You're going to add it in. To that, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of oil. And I'm going to also add 5 egg yolks. And you're going to whisk it. So now we're going to start off with whipping our egg whites. In the bowl of my stand mixer, I have 5 egg whites. To that, I'm going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of vinegar. And I'm going to whip these on high speed. Once they're frothy, I'm going to slowly, gradually add in about 1/4 cup of sugar. Once your sugar is all incorporated, you're going to whip it for another 1 to 2 minutes or until stiff peaks. So now that my egg whites have been whipped to stiff peaks, I'm going to take them out of the bowl of my stand mixer. And I'm going to get ready to fold them into my batter. So as you can see, our egg whites have reached stiff peaks. So now we're going to fold them into our prepared batter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take about 1/3 of the egg whites and I'm just going to dump them in, and being very gentle not to deflate them. I'm just going to go in rounds, making sure to scrape the sides of the bowl and the rest of the egg whites. So once, as you can see, our cake batter is completely incorporated with the egg whites, we're going to start to add them into our pan. And we're going to use a sheet pan because that's how we're going to make the mini version of our Black Forest cakes. So now that the batter has been put in the pan and my oven has been preheated to 320 degrees, 25 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm going to put it in the oven for around 25 to 30 minutes, or until the center, you can poke it with a toothpick and it comes out clean. So now we're going to move on to making our cherry filling. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take about 1 cup of jarred cherries and I strain them. To that I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of sugar, and I'm going to add 1/4 cup of water. And you're just going to give it a mix. And you're going to simmer this over low heat while constantly mixing. And yeah. So I'm going to take it to my heat. I'm going to turn it to low. And while constantly whisking, I'm just going to cook it over low heat. So now I'm just going to take a potato masher. I'm just going to mash my cherries. You just want them to get a little mashed, but not too broken down. So as you can see, we're getting a little bit of bubbles around the outside. So I'm going to take about 1 tablespoon of this liquid, and I'm going to take about 1 tablespoon of corn flour, and I'm just going to mix it together to make kind of a paste. So once I have my cornstarch slurry ready, I'm gonna add it in. I'm gonna mix with my wooden spoon, and I'm gonna keep mixing until you can visibly see that the sauce has thickened up. So as you can see, it's already getting thick. We're just gonna cook it a little longer till it's sort of like the consistency of jam. So now our cakes have been done after going in the oven for around 27 minutes. So now I'm gonna take them out and rest them to cool till they're room temperature. So now we're gonna move on to our whipped ganache. Here I have about 1 cup of cream, and here I have about 5 ounces of chocolate that I've chopped. So this cream is really hot, so I'm gonna add it in. Then you're gonna wait for 30 seconds and then whisk it. So now we're gonna start with our whipped cream frosting. Here I have about 2 cups of heavy cream, and I'm gonna whip it till it's at stiff peaks. So now I have half a cup of cream cheese, which I've just creamed a little, which I'm gonna add 1 cup of icing sugar. I'm just gonna gently mix it till it's all incorporated. And I'm also gonna add about a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. You wanna very gently mix it just to make sure that the sugar doesn't go everywhere. Okay, so now that the sugar and the cream cheese has been well mixed together, I'm gonna take my cream and I'm gonna slowly add it in. So now we're gonna move on to assembling our cake. So I took the cake, and once it was room temperature, I took a cookie cutter, this cookie cutter, and I just cut a circle out of the cake. And I made 4 of them, so that's how we're gonna make the mini cake. So right now, I'm gonna start with putting a little dollop of cream on top, just to make sure that my cake stays in place. Then I'm gonna take some of the liquid from the cherry jar, the syrup, and I'm just gonna brush it on top, just to moisten the cake a little bit. You don't need a whole lot, but just make sure you apply it everywhere. So once that's done, you're gonna take your cream and you're gonna put a small dollop in the middle. So once that's done, I'm gonna take my cherry filling and I'm just gonna spoon it right in the center. You wanna make sure to just put a little bit because it's strong. Just make sure you get an even coating of cherry filling inside, and just brush it around and make sure that everything's coated. So now we're going to move on to the second layer. I'm going to put it directly on top without smushing it, and we're going to repeat the same process. You're going to brush it with the liquid once it's brushed, you're gonna put your cream on. I'm gonna put some in the center. And you're gonna put some on the outside. And then you're gonna finish it up by adding your cherry filling. Now this is a 4-layer cake, but you can do 2 layers or 3 layers. But this is what I chose. So now with the 3rd layer, I'm gonna add it down without smushing the entire thing. I'm gonna brush on the liquid and just repeat the same process that I did with the 2nd and 1st layers. Okay, so now I'm gonna get ready to add my last cake layer. I'm gonna put it on. Now, I'm gonna get some of the liquid and just brush it on top, just like the other layers. And I'm gonna put a dollop of frosting on. Not too much. And we're gonna move on to frosting. So here's my cake, and I took my chilled ganache and I put a few tablespoons on. And now you're just gonna spread it around and make it drip off the ends. You don't want too much ganache on it, or else it'll just drip all the way to the bottom. So now I have some optional chocolate shavings, and I'm just gonna sprinkle them right on the top, right directly in the center. Not too much. Now I'm gonna get ready to pipe the cream. I'm gonna pipe it in a circular motion while going up. I'm just gonna pipe as many as I can put on. So now at the bottom here, I'm just gonna pipe little tiny blobs of cream. Just along the outside. They should be like pea-sized. So here I have 5 reserved cherries, and I'm just gonna put them on. So this is the final product.